so much for coming back at me with respect and apologizing for your words, blah blah blah. I'll definitely uh, grace you with an apology, which ask anybody that knows me, I don't ever do that. But I do want to apologize for my harsh language. I did respond with a lot of passion. But yes, you are definitely correct. I responded like an asshole because when you, I understand you said you were calling out those specific fighters in the ring, but when you call out, those guys, you kind of call out the rest of us, and so yeah, I was a little confused there as why you thought we were all buffoons and what right you had to say that. Um, but my apologies for my harsh language. I might swear here and there. It's kind of a thing. I don't really watch my language unless around children. But yeah, I'm gonna try and go through here, and I'm gonna let your video play right about the section where you started talking with my stuff, so that I can clarify some of the things I said, because I realized after watching my video, there was a couple points that I wasn't very clear on, and it has caused a lot of confusion as seen by the comments. So instead of going through and answering all these comments, which I do not, I don't fucking have time for that shit. Um, I'm just gonna pick out everything, your section on me in response to me, and respond with a little more information. So let's start here. I'm gonna turn it up, and I hope the GoPro picks up all this. I only really use it for watching our fights. So
I'm wrong when I say that your sport is not historically accurate and it's not medieval because you document your gear. Basically, you document the kit you use, the armor you use, the weapons you use. Apart from the fact that, to be honest, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I don't understand how smashing a sword, a metal sword, against the coffee table, which I suppose
it was a helmet.
you have in front of you, proves that the weapon you've got in your hand, you're wielding now, is historically accurate. I'm not saying it's not, just as much as I'm just saying I don't know.
My first video I took that was way too long. My camera shut off, which is why I'm using the GoPro now. I went through and explained how the sword was historically accurate. So that's my bad.
And that's the same. That's basically what I said on my original video. I said I don't know. I said I don't want to know yet. What I meant to say is that I don't know, and I think I did say that. I don't know whether your armor is good or not. I don't know whether the weapons you're using are historically accurate or not. In fact, when I say it's not historically accurate, I don't mean by the way you dress. I mean by the way you fight. I don't think that certain techniques would be appropriate, and that's again just my opinion.
Okay, so the end all be all for this is we don't thrust because nobody wants to die. We don't, the M1 is a specific organization that does the one-on-one in the ring crazy shit. They are a spin-off of, I don't I remember, I'm not entirely sure if it's the WMFC or the HMB guys. I'm not sure who runs all of that or if it's all one big group or not, but there are different steel fighting organizations all over the world. And they more or less fundamentally do the same thing, but they have some minor differences in the rules, style of combat, stuff like that. But it's usually like a couple things here and there, and it's usually safety oriented. I know the rules in the USA are way more strict than the rules in the other the overseas guys. Um, but at least for the Armored Combat League guys, the HMB guys have obviously the universal HMB rules. So I'm not sure what the M1 guys go off of for their stuff, but it is a general rule for our HMB stuff. We're performing in front of, we're fighting in front of sometimes thousands and thousands of people. Like if you look up the Battle of the Nations, I mean, thousands of people in a big stadium and all that crap. It's pretty awesome. But we don't want to die in front of those people. We don't want to have a long sword pop up in the visor or something and just clean it. That's why we have that rule. That's why we don't thrust. And like I cited, which apparently some of the people, I'm still watch this again and remember, but I'm pretty sure you didn't look at it either. But I actually cited these sources of where we got our rules from. It's in my description. There's links to all that shit where it's all cited. And I put up links to the Armored Combat League and the Battle of the Nations HMB pages, so you could go see all the rules and all that shit. Like I said, I don't really have time to sit here and tell all, and this is directed to all the responders who apparently know everything. I don't have time to go through and deal with your shit. I put all those links up there for you to go get off your lazy asses and go actually look up the rules and shit instead of just pretending you know based off of one video. Okay? So yeah, we don't thrust specifically because of that, and we only, slash, whatever you want to call it, we are allowed to pommel strike. We're allowed to half check. We're allowed to do all sorts of stuff. We're allowed to half sword. We just don't stab people because we don't want any crazy injuries. Which, the most injuries you're going to get on this sport are, you know, broken knee, broken ankle type of thing, and it's mostly because you're not used to the armor weight and you get smacked. It's just like football. If you're not in shape for it, you can still twist your ankle. You can still pop a knee out, stuff like that. It kind of happens. The human body is a weak design, so um, that's the biggest reason we have all of those things that aren't 100% historically accurate. However, like I said, there are documentations, there are rules, there are examples of all of this stuff when where we got it from historically. And I said, and I'll touch on that when you go about the time period thing. But that's why we have the different rules. That's why we don't thrust. And the spinning sword thing, there's if you guys want to add me on Facebook and debate this all day, I can answer a little more easily while I'm working on my phone. But YouTube, I can't. I can't fucking figure out how to go to the exact comments when they pop up and shit. So whatever. But I'm Adam Balder Watermark on Facebook. Just add me on Facebook. If you want to add me and try and be a douche, I don't really care. I just don't have time for your shit. If you want to add me and have an intelligent conversation, I'm down for that all day long. I can show you guys specific videos, specific examples, send you links, all that stuff, because I actually know how to do that on Facebook. I'm not a very big tech guy. Let's see, where am I at here? Fuck. So yeah, no, I can show you. Oh yeah, the spin move thing. The video, a little GIF of it just popped up probably a few days before I noticed your video. And there's a guy doing a one-on-one, and he does a spinning back fist with his sword, and he smacks the other guy's sword in two pieces. So, I mean, if that's not effective, I don't know what is. And there are many reasons for that move to be effective or not effective. And there are situations where it is, you're right, not effective. And the video you showed isn't the same video. It's the same video, but it's a different clip where he tries to do the back fist and it doesn't work. Well, those are three-minute rounds. That was probably the second or third round late into it. These guys are gassed. They're tired. They're wearing 60 pounds of gear. What do you think is going to happen? They're going to slow down. They're going to make mistakes. And you're like, oh, he spun and the guy hit him right in the head. Well, yeah, good for that guy, but that guy was just too slow. He was tired. He couldn't pull it off. But if you look in more of the beginning sets of the fight, where you showed sections of this video, he was nailing this guy with these. Okay, and like we said, it's a sport. It's for points. He's not trying to show the world that he can kill the guy with a spinning back fist. We full well know that we're not going to kill a guy with a one-handed sword just smashing him against the helmet. Now, pole arms to the helmet, that's a different story. I've done some crazy damage to helmets, and there was a guy that had a badly heat-treated helmet in one of the Battle Nations fights or something. I think it was 2 years ago, and he had a pole arm smack him in the helmet, and it caved in a whole piece of the helmet, just smacked it right in, and he had to be evac out of there pretty fucking quick. So it does happen. The sport is dangerous. If that doesn't show that it's real and it's not a LARP, I don't know what does. As far as the combat and as far as how physical it is and how real it is, that shit's real. People get injured. I've knocked people out in their gear. I mean, it happens. I've broken weapons over people. It happens. But sorry. Back to your video here. Try and keep this
I could
short
be
as possible.
wrong. I could be wrong, okay? And you could be right. But I'm still entitled to my own opinion just
Yes,
as
you
much
are.
as you are. I respect your intelligence, and I hope you will start respecting
I wouldn't. I'm not
mine.
that smart.
Historically accurate medieval knights might wield the same shield and the same sword, but they wouldn't be doing these sort of spinning moves.
And that's not
Of
entirely
that,
true.
I'm absolutely adamant.
My point on that is, and I'm sure you don't seem like a complete and total moron, so I'm sure that you can understand this. Say it's brand new start of the ages. Guy punches guy in the face. Guy gets knocked out. Other guy wins. He's gonna keep doing that punch because it worked, right? Guy does a spinning back fist and knocks a guy out in the ring. It works. He's gonna keep doing it. Spin moves are a distraction. They're used all throughout history. I mean, look at the Persians. Look at the Hindu societies, the Rajput warriors and stuff like that. Those motherfuckers spin all the time. It looks like a damn dance, but they're badasses, and it works. If it works for you, Bruce Lee, be like water. No one martial art, no one set of moves is accurate for everybody. Like, dude, I've got really messed up hands, so a lot of weird little joint lock kind of stuff, I can't fucking do that shit. I can fucking choke somebody out, sure. I can knock somebody out, sure. But specific things don't always apply to everybody. It's whatever works for you.
Since you mentioned a lot of documents, please find me one treaty, medieval treaty, which
I'll try and find that. I don't.
you
I might be able to.
approaching your opponent and start performing a pirouette. If you find one, I will make a public video where I will say, hey, I was wrong. They did
But
this
in
the
general,
Middle Ages. I still think it's suicidal,
If it works,
but they did.
it works, and they would have used it, whether it was documented or not.
I'm assuming you're referring to a limited density. Okay. And the last few times ago, well, considering that one, sword and shield is less effective weapon.
Okay.
Feel free to provide me.
You didn't specific say.
Very wide.
Okay, wait.
Thousands of pictures in manuscript miniatures documents
Opponent, and when you
do something there.
sword and shield is less effective against an
Not
armored
true.
opponent, and when you talk about
And again,
you often talk about tapestry.
Back
What-
to Facebook and stuff, I can show you where it works just fine. And I mean, you can see there's plenty of like I was saying, tapestry documents, all that stuff. What I mean is the manuscript miniatures and stuff like that. Just that type of medieval recreative type stuff. But I can, if you jump on my Facebook, shoot me an email, even whatever. I can show you examples of this. I can show you full gothic plate knighted up dudes with a punch shield and a sword or a mace. It's out there. They used that shit for multiple different reasons.
on tapestry you're talking about, is it Bayeux? Because if it's Bayeux tapestry, we're in the 11th century, so predominantly male armored knights, but you guys fight in plate. So, it doesn't really matter what they were using at the time because there was no.
It does matter because if you punch a guy with a shield, that's a lot of blunt force. I've seen guys knock out other guys by punching them in the helmet, full helmet padding, all that jazz. Knock them in the face, and it knocks them out, or they go to the ground. I've seen guys hit in the ribs, and it moves their plates like a Leeds Brigandine or something like that. Shifts their plates in and knocks the wind out of them. It works. It works.
Plate. They weren't facing any plate armored opponent. So I don't see how those two things are relevant.
And there's like I said, examples all over the place of guys with shields. I can show you.
Also, I used a shield to punch a guy clean up on his back.
The turtle thing. I've heard HEMA guys and all sorts of other guys talk about shit like that. And they're like, oh, get him on the ground, he's dead, man. Get him on the ground, he's a dead man. I don't believe that shit at all. I'm a grappler. I can do that kind of stuff, and it's unfortunately not legal for what we do as far as on the ground. Once you're on the ground, you're pretty much out. M1, you're allowed 3 strikes, I believe, for points once the guy's on the ground. But in the mass battles and stuff like that, you can't do that. It's once the guy's on the ground, he's considered dead. And when I was talking about the cutting, I obviously meant if the sword was sharp. And you said they would have worn chainmail and or gambeson stuff. That's not always true. There were a lot of people that just wore gambeson, which gambeson you can cut through. It's not immortal. It's not like Kevlar or some shit. It's strong material. Sure, it's thick. Sure, it's great padding and shock absorbency and all that jazz, and it'll protect you against like minor cuts. But if a motherfucker comes up and slams you in the armpit and slices it open, it's gonna slice you open. If he stabs you there, obviously, well, you're screwed. But that was my point when you were saying, slashing doesn't do anything or whatever, and it's again for points, Also, I've hit guys. I've got a video I could show you too of practice we had a few weeks back where I hit a guy in his pauldron, this plate mail, with a pole arm, and it blew it apart. It just blew all the rivets, blew the leather attachment, just boom, and it was shattered, hanging off of him. So now he doesn't have armor right there. He's just got gambeson. And a lot of these guys are saying, oh, they would have worn mail. They would have worn mail underneath all their plate armor. That's not true. The whole fucking reason mail armor was created was to get rid of the chainmail, was to get rid of the mail, to get rid of the weight, and make things lighter and more protective. So I don't know where you're getting that from. I mean, yes, they had voiders, which are specific mail bits stitched onto their gambeson, their padded stuff, or padded jack, whatever, Akaton, whatever you want to call it. And then the plate mail went over top of all of that, and it covered, yeah, sure, it covered a little bit, but not everything. There are still gaps in the armor. There's always a gap. Unless you're talking like 16th century crazy stuff, which not many people use. At least least in our
Another
sport.
point, I think you are completely wrong here. No, you can't cut armor. Even if you
And I'm not saying you can't cut the armor. I'm talking about gaps. Like, say, dude had some kind of sugarloaf on and no gorget, no aventail. Neck's open, cut in, done. It's still a cut. And I'm obviously referring to a real sharp sword in a real situation, not our sport, not a blunted weapon.
manage to hit and to slash the
And I'll tell you, it still fucking hurts if you get hit with a blunted weapon over mail. Hard.
armpit, so the parts where there is no blade, there will be an arming doublet, there might be a gambeson, and there will be mail. You cannot cut
Not always.
riveted mail
Not even
on top of a
historically.
gambeson.
Not always.
It's impossible. You can try to pierce it. And by the way, you never thrust in M1.
Yep.
I have never seen anyone perform a thrust or a stabbing motion. Again,
Because it's
another thing
illegal.
I have an issue with as far as historical accuracy is concerned.
They would have worn better quality armor. Might even better 15th century.
I love the beep. Is that a
In
fencing
Europe at least
scoring
riveted mail from the Middle Ages all the way back to Romans, to the
And I
Romans
was talking
and the Lorica
about
Armata, which
in general, like whether it's high carbon or not, mail. Okay, that's the other point I should probably make. You were talking about how I just saw one comment where the guy was like, "Oh, he's wearing Eastern armor and he's not a knight. He would have never been in the tournament." Well, yeah, well, no shit, dude. Our rules are you have 50 years to document. If you can put armor with okay, say you want to wear Eastern shit. You wear Eastern shit, but you have a 50-year period to document that specific gear. Okay, you can't use a German longsword with a 14th century Mongolian kit. Okay, it's basic shit like that. And then if you're in Western Europe, you can have anything in Western Europe in a 50-year block. You can't use 12th century armor with 15th century weapons, or a 15th century helmet with 12th century armor, or anything like that. You have a 50-year window, and it can be any window you want. You can go anywhere you want with it, as long as you can prove that it existed in your 50-year window, and it's protective as far as like covering the legal points. Elbow, all the bones and vital organs and stuff like that. Like you can have your ass open because it's not technically a legal target. Back of your leg,